Hello, clinical case Faiza, obsessional neurosis. Description: Faiza, 29 years old, a wife and a mother of 3 children. Symptoms: first, inner moral conflict. Second, obsessive religious doubts and fears, unwanted blasphemous thoughts. 3. Violation of religious norms, which she was trying to make up for it by non-stop repetition of the same rituals, for example, ablution or prayers. 4. Worries that she didn't say a prayer correctly, so she was saying the prayer again and again, and for the fourth and the fifth time as a correction. 5. Obsessive type of aggressiveness characterized by obsessions with a religious theme, which have a compulsive allure, that is to say, which impose themselves on her in an incoercible way, in formal contradiction with her convictions. 6. Hypermorality and the struggle against perverse tendencies that characterize obsessive neurosis. In accordance with Freud's definition, morality develops at the expense of perversions which it represses. Anamnesis. Faiza has been suffering from obsessive-compulsive disorder, which was manifesting itself in her religion. It happened since her marriage, but certain obsessions existed even since childhood. Acute obsessive neurosis was diagnosed on her father's side and hysterical neurosis on her mother's. Request: to help get rid of the obsessions and compulsive rituals which were driving her crazy and were not allowing her to lead a normal life. About family. She has been married for 10 years. That's when the obsession started and worsened as she was seeking to decrease her chances of pregnancies. She was in constant rivalry with her husband, but already at the age of 7, the little girl was struggling with her parents. Moreover, she was parasitized by the idea of poisoning them. She had to hit the floor 3 times and repeat 3 times, "I didn't think so." At puberty, she was obsessed with strangling her father and sticking pins in her parents' bed to prick her mother. At this time, the patient was ashamed of her father and painfully experienced the religious education imposed on her by her mother. The religious obsessions were those of Lacan's particular interest, especially offensive or scatological phrases, blasphemous, sacrilegious thoughts. Faiza could insult God. She said, a quote, "The insults that I addressed to God, definitely I was thinking in them about my mother." The patient's Oedipal coordinates do not fully capture the intensity of her obsessions, the ambivalence towards the mother, or the reproaches leveled at the father for his submission to the mother. About the other is constantly demanding one who she seeks to avoid at any cost. About relation to body. Repetitive rituals of body purification, since the body was perceived as the dirty object. About transfer. She was expecting me to be a demanding other, which didn't happen. Weirdly, she was asking me when would she start feeling aggressive towards me, since that's what she was expecting that she would feel. I occupied the place of her alter ego. Clinical picture. That was not her faith which was causing her symptoms, but religion was projection of her inner conflict. Faith became an obsession, and instead of consolation in the faith, she was facing extreme anxiety. Faiza, like any obsessed subject, is a thinker. She loves a thought. This desire is specific to the neurotic. This desire is a defense against enjoyment, a defense against reality. The neurotic is someone who cannot attain that mirage in which he would find satisfaction. This enjoyment, a way of keeping it at a distance, is bordered by anxiety. That's why she was anxious, because of the other of the body, of another body. Lacan tells us nothing can be done with it except tearing it into pieces. And yes, she enjoyed. The problem with the obsessive is that she cannot forget it. Faiza knows her traumas, as Freud underlines, but ignores their value. Whereas the hysteric manages to work out a compromise between contradictory tendencies and constructs a symptom which allows erotic satisfaction and enjoyment, the obsessional eludes it and bypasses it. These contradictory tendencies are expressed successfully, hence the doubt, compulsive acts, which produce the rise of tension, of a pleasure, and not their resolution. In obsessive neurosis, two drives are of interest, which belong to those parts of the body which represent the particular forms of the object A. The drive to look and the anal drive, two drives that bring an external object into play. However, like any neurotic, Faiza is dealing with Oedipus. There remains the desire necessary so as not to be reduced to the object of the demand. This is what happens when she is depressed. As she approaches her desire, she is seized with doubt, and the object itself is disinvested. The closeness of the father and of enjoyment is the problem of the obsessional. She has a father who enjoys but who has failed in his desire. This father, whom Faiza must keep alive permanently as a father who speaks, who enjoys, and who nourishes her perpetual questioning of her desire and her enjoyment. Faiza would like to reduce the father to the signifier, to make him a symbolic father, because there is his lack of law guarantee. She is constantly afraid that he will fail. Hence, the frequent recourse to religion and its paradoxical panic when one announces the end of the father. Obsessive neurosis isolates. It is hard to believe that such a symptomatology is the product of suppression. Faiza didn't support her desire, but aimed at its destruction and annulment. This woman attacks the penis as something that she doesn't have, on the other hand, and on the other as a symbol of the power that she lacks to ensure her independence from the mother's desire. She has been tyrannized by her all her life, by her mother. Analytical work. Her analysis was based not on the envy of the penis and the desire to be a man, but on the desire for the mother and the phallus as the signifier of desire, just like Lacan was teaching. In childhood, Faiza used to be the object of the mother's desire. Many memories describe her dependence, both vital and passionate. What she destroys is the dependence on the phallic image desired by her mother. Indeed, she is in rivalry not with the father, nor with the mother, but with a desire beyond her, which is the phallus. Lacan applies the general law of obsessive desire to destroy the signs of the desire of the other. In this case, it is herself that she destroys as identified with these signs. It is yourself that you destroy. This is what analysis was supposed to let her recognize. So the problem was not whether or not to have this phallus, but to be it. So she was in rivalry with her husband, as the husband is the phallus. At the time, Lacan exposed the dialectic of being and having and the desire for recognition, which is valid for both men and women. In fact, the neurotic in general wants to be a phallus. This is the case of Faiza. Regarding the direction of treatment, there should be distinguished a strategy of phallic demand and dissatisfaction from a strategy of consumption in which the subject is consumed by herself, thus mortifying herself. There is nothing more difficult than to put the obsessional against the wall of her own desire. It is indeed impossible for Faiza to support her own desire. What helped? First of all, lessening the strictness of superego. Secondly, questioning and therefore destructing her defense mechanisms. Changes which happened during the analysis. Analysis lasted for 3 years. Anxiety diminished. Rituals didn't bother her anymore.